Spoilers for Godzilla Minus One. It's a good movie. You should watch it. I'm serious. Go watch it right now. Get up right now, go to the theater, and watch it. I recently watched Godzilla Minus One, and by recently I mean 2 nights ago, the day this comes out, and it's a good movie. But I think one of the most shocking things about it, especially since tens of thousands of people die in this thing, is the fact that no major characters die throughout the entire movie. Now, in most cases, I don't mind this. Surprisingly, I actually like it when the heroes of a story don't die. And in most cases, however unlikely it would be, the surviving is because the characters escape Godzilla, which is fine. But then there's Norika, who we see get blasted by explosion shockwaves so powerful they destroy buildings, and we presume is dead for a decent portion of the movie. But then, at the end of the movie, it turns out she's alive, potentially permanently disfigured, but alive, and everything's great. And listen, it's not the worst. Where she is specifically when the explosion happens is right next to some buildings that don't get completely destroyed, which is how our main character, whose name I am not going to try to pronounce, survives. So it is possible the blast just wasn't as powerful where she was, and humans do have an uncanny ability to randomly survive things they probably shouldn't, so it's not completely unrealistic. And it does make the ending of the movie significantly happier, but that's almost the problem. In a story that frankly isn't that happy most of the way through, even while having a basically happy ending, having some lasting misery for the main characters, like the death of a loved one, would, I think, make the movie feel more real, which is maybe silly for a movie about a giant evil lizard, instead of having an ending where everything works out. Like, yes, I know tens of thousands of people die, but I don't know any of them, so let's be honest, they're just cannon fodder. But then again, maybe that's the point. The movie is, in part, about living, putting value on life and finding a reason to live and just generally surviving. The fact that no one dies in the grand finale is important because of that value of life. So Narca surviving does play into that well too, even if I consider it to make the ending slightly too happy. Except the ending isn't actually that happy, because Norika isn't the only character that doesn't actually die. Our titular character, the villain of the movie, Godzilla, also survives. Kinda. Yes, he does fall apart at the end of the movie, but as we see at the very end, he starts growing again. And listen, I get it. You got a sequel bait, and having a Godzilla sequel without Godzilla would be a strange choice, to say the least. And especially considering the visuals of how this Godzilla heals, it does really give this feeling that it's less of a creature and more of a growth, a tumor on the world, which is interesting. But come on, it does make the ending slightly less satisfying. All that effort didn't even kill the beast, it just delayed it for an unknown period of time. And maybe that's the point, that it's this thing that can only be continuously delayed instead of actually stopped, but it does make the happy ending you pushed for at the end of this movie a lot less happy when you reveal that the beast is not actually dead and presumably can't be killed. Now, you may have noticed the irony of me complaining about one character living being too happy and another character not dying being not happy enough. Doesn't that just even out to just the correct amount of happiness? And kinda ish? Again, still a very good movie, and I think I get why they did it that way, but I don't know. Maybe I just think it's more satisfying when characters stay dead.